If you enjoy this content, please take a moment to rate and review it. Your feedback will greatly impact our ability to reach more people. Thank you. All right, we're back. Big list of AI things that we can talk about. Not so big on the other side of things, but this is a big AI week. I'm excited to run through it all. And can you share a little bit, Vic, about like what you're currently doing with AI? Because you've been like spending a lot of time building agents, actually like being really productive in an advanced way. Like just before we get into the show, just a little bit of high level, like what are you doing right now?
So, I mean, I think we all saw the OpenClaw phenomenon over December, January timeframe. And what I took from that is that the architecture for an agent that people want is one that sort of just lives wherever you are in wherever you're communicating, right? So that was the takeaway. OpenClaw had lots of problems. It wasn't secure, and it was not meant for the millions of people that, turned it on and started working with it. So there were plenty of bad stories. But that demand signal of so many people like rushing in and ignoring security concerns because they wanted this access is what I sort of took away from that. And so I've built 3 agents for different purposes, sort of with that same architecture. They live in wherever the customer is. And I've spent a lot of time designing all the stuff around the LLM with the concept that the LLM is almost like a resource that you plug into the bottom of the agent, and you can plug and play any LLM with that. But then what is the infrastructure that kind of resource, that intelligence resource plugs into? And you need to have sort of 3 things, I think. You need to have memory, context, like an identity. What is this agent supposed to do? And what does it know about? How does it need to function? And then tools. So it can communicate in Slack, or it can communicate in Telegram, or whatever environment you want. But then also, can it go look up things on the web? Can it write code? Can it the different tooling that you need to put around it so that the agent can do things in the world. But then probably the most important thing is some kind of goal or reason for existing. And I think that's been the hardest thing for a lot of individuals, because they spin up an agent with OpenClaw or any of the knockoffs now, but they don't really have a good use case. They're just sort of playing with it. So then it ends up reviewing their email and whatever, making restaurant appointments, reservations for them.
Right.
But I had 3 things I wanted to do. I mean, we have 152 companies in Foundry, and I love them all. And they all need a lot of support, a lot of help. And it's just me. And so I created an agent to try to like extend my reach. And so I call it a her, even though of course it's not gendered, but her name is Faye for the Founder Empowerment Agent. And then I've designed things where like Faye has a bunch of information about this company. And so it knows when they were founded, it knows how much revenue they have, it knows all the employees. We seed it with all of that context, all that information. So when Faye arises and interacts with the founder for the first time, typically in Slack, it's more like an employee showing up to work for the first time. Like she's armed with all of the data that Jumpstart knows on them. And then it also has like, I teach a fundraising class that has all that information, has all this like infrastructure that we provide. But the most thing I'm excited about is I'm going to be doing office hours every Thursday where Faye books it and she works with the founder to kind of get their question organized. And then she preps me ahead of time. So I come into the 30-minute office hour fully prepared with what they need to talk about. And then we talk about it and it's recorded and transcribed. We'll take away all the details, all the private things that we don't want to share. But then Faye's going to learn these. There's like a bunch of pattern recognition that I have that I can't can't fully express. And so Faye's going to be watching these office hours and facilitating, but then internalize those takeaways and start to then be able to advise founders with those same kind of lessons. Again, we're going to take away the details of what client they're trying to sell to or what board issue they're trying to work on. But I think a lot of the themes, a lot of those patterns that VCs have sort of developed for me over 26 years, I can't fully just write them out. But I think if I do office hours for a month, 2 months, 3 months, over time, Faye is learning from that and she'll just get better and better and better. And I think that's a good, at least from my point of view, that's a good use case for an agent where it's sort of helping the founder day one, but it's also learning and getting better over time so that I can spend my time on more and more nuanced or detailed work with founders. Well, the whole group of 150 are getting the benefit of that kind of raising all boats.
All right. And what have you built it on?
I built it, well, for that one, I built it on Supabase and, Claude Code.
But is it running OpenClaw?
It has OpenClaw, but also I've changed it a bunch. So I've taken the soul.md file and a couple of the structural files, but then added a bunch. Like I have a different hub because I didn't want to build it's going to be too technical, but I built a different hub. I stole, it's open source. I co-opted from a thing called Hermes. So it allows us to now very easily just turn on, you want to be on Reddit? Fine. You want to be on email? Fine. You want to be a web chat? Fine. It has all the built-in Discord, has everything built in. OpenClaw just didn't come out of the box like that, so it kind of added to it. And then this self-learning process I got from another open source system. The thing that is just really eye-opening, because I haven't been a developer before Claude Code, before, 3 months ago, which is crazy to think it's only been 3 months. The amount of open source, really valuable software components, like little Lego blocks that I can find on GitHub, and it's totally allowed just to take that piece of code and put it into Faye or put it into a different agent I'm working on. And all of a sudden she has this hub that I didn't have to build. And now developers have known that for a long time, but I knew it, but I couldn't actually take the code and make it work. And it's incredible. I mean, the whole open source thing, I was a fan of just because I like the founder and the community-based thing. But now that I'm benefiting from it, it's incredible.
Well, thanks for that rundown. I wanted to start the episode there because we're going to end talking about a lot of AI stuff. I think that the headline of you being a venture capitalist, running this very, very large portfolio of pre-seed and seed companies, effectively by yourself. So it's not like you're not busy, right? Managing LPs, managing the portfolio companies, supporting them, et cetera.
Yeah.
You still have been able to build an autonomous agent and do it working with GitHub and do it working with open source code and work with Claude. And okay, maybe I don't like this OpenClaw. Maybe I'll try this harness. Maybe I'll adjust the soul document. So I think I just wanted to do a little bit of a debrief or a postmortem on that work, because I wonder how many of our listeners are familiar with some of the things you said. It's something as important and critical, but also not that obvious as the soul.md file, for example, right? If you know what that is, it's kind of everything. But if you don't know what it is, then you're like, I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
And I think that gap between people who are taking the time, like you, to be practitioners and work on it and the benefits it's yielding, right? In very, very short order. I just wanted to talk about that because I think that talking about AI every week on this show, whether we're talking about the job losses or we're talking about the incredible things that these applications can do, I think the majority of people are still just doing the chat thing. And I wanted you to share your story because we are actually in the agentic era where one person who is willing to put the time in can build an agent, can build a fleet of agents, can build a company of agents. And, that MedV story, we're going to see a lot more of those MedV stories.
Yeah, and I think that I need to share that Faye is not the first agent I tried to build. I tried to build a different one last summer, and it failed. And it failed because I didn't have Claude Code, and I was trying to work with, I don't know, maybe Opus 4 or something, an earlier version. And it was on the edge of being able to do it, but it wasn't quite there. And we didn't have the OpenClaw frameworks. We didn't have Paperclip, which is a whole nother thing that we could talk about for half an hour. And so the reason I say that is over a 2-week period, people should just try to build something, not because it's actually going to work, but I learned a ton trying to build Aussie, which was my first VC associate. And she didn't work. I mean, she worked, if I was like working with her and babying her and fixing everything every 10 minutes, she'd work if you squinted. But I think that's how you learn to do these things. You sort of try something and it doesn't work, and then you come back later and the tech has changed. And so then now it's easier. So like you have to figure out the whole memory context management. You think a 1 million token window is a lot, and then first of all, the agents can't use the full 1 million. And secondly, I'm giving Faye the entire portfolio of 150 companies and all of our information. It's a lot more than 1 million tokens. So like, how do we give her the right context for the task at hand? You can't learn that until you just start. So I think that's my advice. So people should start trying to build something that is outside of just asking a question to an LM and getting an answer back. It works for that, but that's the very sort of tip of the iceberg of what it can do.
All right, that's our PSA, and Vic didn't know I was going to ask that. So, but I did want to give you some props and also, ask you to share. With that, let's dig in. The economy is growing, jobs aren't. Why that might be okay? From the Wall Street Journal. What's the deal here?
Yeah, so we talked last week about people leaving the workforce, and I think the Wall Street Journal reporter might have been listening to us because this story is how that is true, and there's not a lot of new jobs being created, but the productivity of each worker is increasing dramatically, and so that's the punchline. Like if the productivity grows fast enough, then the economy will be okay, in parentheses, as long as you have a job.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you have a job. I was texting with our good friend, Brian D. I'll just sort of leave it there. And, we were kind of riffing back and forth, and we might put a little wager together around whether or not this window ends by the end of 2027, right? Where somebody like you who's doing the work that you're doing has this huge edge, right, on everybody else. And my bet was that it will not end in 2027. I think the lag is going to be longer than that. And among the reasons is the identity issue around this, right? Like, and I think that's the thing I've heard the least about. Is it's like everyone is thinking about this from a purely economic perspective, and they're not including human psychology into this, and they're not really considering what happens to the human psyche when the foundations of what you thought life was for the entirety of your life just goes away, and what you dedicated your life becoming a craft person at is no longer valued, right? The fallout from that is way more than people just getting fired, right? I mean, I've heard multiple stories of from entrepreneurs who lead companies, Vic, that you and I know, where the devs are quitting.
Yeah.
Like not enough people are talking about that. Devs are quitting when they are faced with the challenge to stop coding by hand and start letting the agents code. right? Even in the face of the news that Mythos found bugs in OpenBSD, right? You know what I mean? Like a 30-year-old operating system known for its security, you roll out this brand new model, it finds a way to exploit it, but still people are holding on to the belief that like humans are going to be the coders, and that's it's not rational. It's a psychological response to the loss of identity.
Yeah, that's right. And it's a natural phenomenon that is going to be a long time lasting. I mean, I saw this happen in like the news publishing business. So, I mostly do healthcare, but I joined a VC firm called Solidus where the other partner did a lot of media stuff. And so I got brought into a board of a newspaper. So all of a sudden I had to learn a lot about the newspaper industry. This is in 2005, maybe the worst possible time to invest in a newspaper. Because it was just obvious. The internet had already destroyed the classified business, which was the cash cow, really. And then the mobile phones were sort of making it very difficult to be able to get a newsworthy story that was scooped that no one else knew about ahead of time.
Right.
And so we had reporters, but also editors and publishers that they were looking at the same information I was looking at, but it was their identity, it was their career. They had built their life around this valuable service of bringing news to people roughly on a daily or weekly basis. And that had changed, but they were not willing to accept it. And so it's going to happen in software. It's true that an individual software developer, I think, can probably write more elegant code, more better designed code. It might be 5% better. It's an artistic kind of calling. And there are some people that are really good at it. And we now have like mass produced products coming out that are pretty good. It's like if you don't want to buy the product from China, you'd rather pay 4 times more to have it made here in the US because you like to support the artisan making a belt or something. And it's a higher quality belt. But the Chinese belts are a fourth the price and last just as long. They just are maybe not made with love as much. It's kind of that same dynamic. Like you're not going to be able to code as well or as fast or as productivity unless you use these tools. But it's sad. I think if you spend a long time perfecting your skill, it's sad and it's a hard identity change. There's a lot of VCs that wouldn't want Faye listening to their meetings.
That's right.
Because that's right. Their power. That's what they bring.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, I think you are probably in the 1% of VCs who are actively getting their hands dirty, firsthand building agents, not farming it out, not asking their dev shop to do it, literally building the agent themselves.
I don't think you can farm it out. It's too new.
Oh, well, people will. I mean, I think there's going to be consulting firms that are going to make a killing. Mm-hmm. On the farm out process of it. Okay. The process of refund tariffs is going to begin next week. Trade court judge says the government confirmed it is on track to start processing claims for refunds of Trump's tariffs, invalidated by the Supreme Court. I don't know how much there is to say about this other than it just seems like a colossal waste of time and energy.
Yeah, I agree. And if I could get money, I'd probably throw my name in. I don't think I paid any tariffs, but but people
not directly anyway.
It's going to be like the stimmy checks. I'm like everyone's going to try to figure out how can they get free money.
100%. Okay, final economy story. The U.S. economy remains resilient in the face of the Iran war, banks say. The banks also had another stellar quarter. So, I think they were probably feeling pretty good as earnings rolled out and felt like they could say, yeah, the economy's doing great. Economy's resilient, never mind all these job losses and $5 a gallon gas, JP Morgan and Citigroup said we're doing great.
Earnings across the market, including banks, have been strong. And so if you count publicly traded stock earnings as the economy, it's doing great. I don't know if that's the full economy, but it's definitely the Wall Street economy.
Yep. All right, let's move to the VC rundown. Keebler Health secures $16 million in Series A funding for AI-powered risk adjustment platform.
Yeah, so this is an AI startup in value-based care. Flare led the Series A. So, I think value-based care continues to be a place that gets a lot of VC attention. It's hard, but eventually someone will crack it. I think it's better to be in a niche like value-based care for this particular type patient, but that's not what this is.
Totally agree. AI-enabled fertility care and longevity provider Onto Health closes a $20 million series funded by ARTIS and Humania. Funds are going to expand the fertility care across the United States and drive expansion into the Gulf region.
Yeah, I think this is good. Even though there's a lot of fertility solutions, and we've invested in at least two, there's a lot of need out there. And bringing more solutions, technology-based solutions, I think is good. Gives women more choices.
Agree. Ultralight raises $9.3 million seed round. So this is pretty cool. This is a AI native operating system for modern medicine practices. This is something I want to see a lot more of. The round was led by the General Partnership, participation from Wisdom Ventures, Anthemis, Emerson Collective. We've co-invested with Emerson Collective. I like this. Hey, let's just start from scratch and build a totally AI native operating system for the way that healthcare practices are going to run. You're not going to be able to sell this to the large healthcare systems, but if you focus on small enough practices, you absolutely can transform those practices. And while I don't know how fast these businesses will be able to grow because they're going to have to go after smaller chunks at a time, we're going to see more revolution in the way that medicine is delivered this way. And so this is a really exciting one for me.
Yeah, we have been wanting the electronic medical record to talk to the practice management system, to talk to the patient engagement team. Most people don't have a system, but team. And Ultralight just sort of starts from the first day with all of those things intertwined in an AI native way. So yeah, I agree with you completely. It's going to be a slow go because it's hard. It's hard to sell physician groups and they have to sell small ones, but I'm a cheerleader for it.
All right. Joyful Health raises $17 million in Series A funding. AI financial infrastructure company based in New York for healthcare RevOps. The round was led by CRV, participation from XYZ Venture Capital, Designer Fund, Inflect Capital, and Go Global Ventures.
Yeah, so it's a good investor group, decent size round, and it's a hard space. This is I think fairly crowded, but it's a good space, just a lot of people there.
All right, let's move into policy. The FDA moves towards easing restrictions on certain peptides. I feel like I just saw peptides on X posts and Instagram posts and headlines all week. So I didn't even know what was going on, but clearly peptides are a thing everybody's excited to talk about right now. Being an athlete, you hear about peptides all the time, especially for speeding up, injured shoulders and knees. But I guess now peptides are getting into the mainstream conversation about how they can benefit people and make them more healthy.
Yes. So my wife, maybe 2 weeks ago, asked me about peptides. She's interested in it. Her wherever she watches on social media, people are really finding great benefit from it. So yes, it's definitely transitioned from longevity and really hardcore athletics to now the mainstream.
All right. CMS accepts more than 150 providers, digital health firms for the access model. So that was fast. I actually want to give CMMI credit for going from buzz to rollout very, very quickly. This is exciting. And I think the number of 150 providers is fantastic. To see that kind of diversity that's going to be spread out across the country, presumably attacking different disease states and different regions. So that's really cool. And I think, Vic, there's more information now as well about how they're going to pay for the access model.
Yeah, that's right. So there wasn't a lot of information before this. Now it's somewhere, depending on the diagnosis, what chronic disease they have. The payment is $750 to $35 per month per patient. So it's a thin reimbursement. but we're talking about really a digital health play. I mean, all the applicants and really what they're looking for is digital health. So I think you can deliver it at that price. You need to be cautious with your spend as far as cost of goods sold, but I think it'll be interesting. It's a 10-year experiment, so we'll be watching it for a while. But this is a good solution if we can figure out a way to actually, sort of change patients' behavior, change their outcomes for the better.
And 10 years is the right amount of time for something like this, right? Because in 10 years, you just take the progression of AI in 10 years, and that amount of money is going to be rich for the AI companies that are going to be delivering this care. So,
that's right.
So yeah, I'm a fan of access. I'm a fan. All right, moving over to, is this payers? Baylor Scott & White health plan to depart the individual market and Medicaid this year. We've talked about these headlines in the past, and it's like, don't be the plan holding the bag, get out while you can. And so BSW has decided to exit the individual and Medicaid markets in Texas.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Baylor Scott & White is a big health system. I think it probably makes sense to focus on that and try to exit these markets. Unless you have massive scale, it's really hard to make any margin. And even if you have massive scale, it's challenging. So I think this makes a lot of sense. But it also, there's fewer options in Texas now.
Yeah, well, there's going to be fewer and fewer options, right? We did our call with the Foundry portfolio last Friday with Emily, and she was laying out some really important stats around the percentage of household expense that health insurance makes up for family on a blended rate across the country per capita. It's 30%. For a single person, that premium makes up 20%. And so what are we seeing? We're seeing more and more people go without. These risk pools are going to get worse and worse. More and more uncompensated care. It's kind of like just one thing tumbles into the next thing, and it's all becoming quite unviable, I think, with the exception of the absolute largest players, right? Like a BSW, it's a regional health system that has a plan. Presumably that plan would provide great 360 care for citizens of places like Austin, Texas, where they could fully leverage the BSW network and best practices and all the things, all the forward-thinking things that team would like to do, but you can't make money on it anymore.
Right, and as you said, the healthy people are not going to pay that percent of their income. They'll just go without. They'll go to urgent care. They'll sort of self-underwrite. So you're going to end up every year getting fewer and fewer healthy people in the risk pool. And it's just it's very predictable what's going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, totally. Moving on. Walmart is expanding digital health platforms, weight loss offerings, including GLP-1 prescribing. Everyone is going to do GLP-1.
Yes. GLP-1.
Everyone's going to do GLP-1.
We might put it in the water. It's going to be everywhere.
like fluoride?
Yeah, that's like fluoride. Just put it in the water. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Okay. UC Health workers plan open-ended system-wide strike for May 14th. So this is not good news. And it's new. This is a new situation for the University of California's health system. This is new on a couple of fronts. Normally, when we're talking about strikes, we're talking about nurses, right? But this time around, it's actually kind of everybody else. These are service workers that are custodians, security personnel, patient care professionals, MRI technicians, respiratory therapists. So they're all bundled into a union, AFSCME Local 3299. They're basically going to shut down the system, right? If you pull all of those, that diverse set of workers out, I think it's way worse than if the nurses just walk out, don't you?
There's no question it's worse. It's 25,000 people, and I know it's a big system, but that's a lot of people. And with nurses, one, there are travel nurses that you can hire. They're expensive, but you can bring in other nurses. And if you don't have the custodians, the security personnel, the MRI technician, the respiratory therapist, the hospital can't function. Yes, the nurses and doctors are the face of it, and they do a lot of the valuable work, but all of these support roles are needed. You can't go without. And there isn't like a traveling custodian service. And so they're just going to be stuck. So they're going to have to come to some agreement.
Yeah, it's this is a bad story. So to me, this is a very strong position for the union to have taken. We're 30 days out, right? So I think a lot of negotiation is going to happen over the next 30 days, and hopefully the strike doesn't actually take place.
Yeah, they're required to give 10 days notice, and they gave 30. So like you're saying, I think that implies that there's some hope that they'll be able to negotiate between now and May 14th.
Yeah, very much hope so. All right, going into pharma, J&J's first quarter sales grow on cancer drug strength. The drug and medical device maker managed to offset declines from its blockbuster Stelara losing patent protection. So J&J just, we talk a lot about Lilly. Obviously, between GLP-1s, the way that they've been beating the pants off Novo, and also just the forward-thinking tech AI partnerships with NVIDIA, partnerships with drug discovery AI companies. There's a lot of awesome sexiness with Lilly for good reason. J&J is like this boring company that just trudges along quarter to quarter and really has not really missed a beat. I mean, I recognize that it's not the sexiest stock out there. But they certainly have continued to keep the revenue growth, going in the face of some other big pharma companies. And even as they've tried to sort of pair off their consumer business, they still continue to perform at a very high level.
Yeah, I agree. They're not as flashy, but they deliver. They're executing at really well.
Lilly makes preclinical ADC specialist CrossBridge its latest acquisition in a vague $300 million deal. I don't even want to talk about this deal. I just want to talk about the fact that every week we're talking about a deal that Lilly does.
Yeah. To close a deal every week, I mean, they must have a big M&A pipeline of deals in flight because they take a long time and they're complex and they fall apart. To be able to announce one every week is a significant success. I mean, I agree. I don't even know what CrossBridge does exactly, but every week they are adding to their portfolio, adding to what they do in ways that I think are going to pay off 2 years, 4 years, 5 years from now.
Yeah, it's remarkable, truly. Okay, so this is the health and eye story from the New York Times. Online and in doctors' offices, people are finding that GLP-1s may help with everything from arthritis to addiction to migraines. This to me feels like a rehash of a storyline that, Vic, I think we covered in the very early days of this podcast, which was the idea that GLP-1s may be a miracle drug. There may not be a bottom anytime soon to the things that it can remedy. This story really just kind of focuses on that. It's the combination of this is a huge experiment. We are learning in real time what this thing can do. It's got similar properties to AI in that respect, right? You know what I mean? It's like we're rolling it out and we're kind of saying, oh, this is what this is capable of. But there's this chart here, and I'd love for you to talk a little bit about this chart in this article because it's remarkable the breadth of benefits that people are reporting that they're having from using a GLP-1.
Yeah, that's right. So there was a survey of 2,000 GLP-1 users. The question was, what have you gotten benefits from not including weight loss? And so the question intentionally steered people, don't say weight loss. We're asking about other things. But 64% said that their body image was improved. That probably is not that surprising to me because it's pretty tied to weight loss. It's almost like another way to answer weight loss. But productivity was surprising to me. So 59%, I can't read it with my glasses, 59% said they're more productive on a GLP-1.
Yep.
That was surprising. Relationships with family and friends, half of the 49% had better relationships with their family. I don't know how that's either one of those things happened, but that's how they're reporting. Better social life, better memory, and their fertility. Whether it's psychosomatic or it's real or some combination, I don't know is really the point. People are getting the perception or the reality that they're having improvements in all of these areas because they're on this drug. And that makes it a wonder drug, I think, just that itself.
I completely agree. Yeah, it's remarkable. Actually, it's remarkable. So look, we're going to have to keep watching this thing closely, but as these positive stories keep rolling out, so does the futures for, I think, Lilly in particular, but also the expectation that everybody is going to try to sell these things. All right.
Yeah, that's right. And you're also right that we don't know what the long-term effect is. These compounds haven't been around for more than 5 or 10 years, so we have no long-term studies.
Yes. Okay, moving on to Web3. First story here from the block. Elon Musk's X money stands to disrupt payments and pressure PayPal, but crypto plans may hit regulatory hurdles. So we haven't talked that much about Elon on this show, actually. It's interesting. But if we were a broader show, we could talk about the SpaceX AI, whatever that company is going to be called.
Yeah.
Potential record-breaking IPO that's about to happen. The ability that this guy has to execute. It's funny. He executes like he's had AI all this time. It's really, really remarkable. And people may not always remember that he was the CTO at PayPal, right?
Right.
And so and X was like his idea about where they were going to take PayPal. And so he's always had this aspiration to make this everything app. And one of the core things of the everything app is a wallet that you can securely transact on. And so if you're going to start that in 2026, of course, you're going to leverage crypto rails to do that. But he's not just talking about transferring money, he's talking about yield. And that's where I think some of the regulatory challenges may pop up here, because they're talking about doing a 6% APY. And obviously that's going to attract a lot of people to want to use the platform, but also we've seen a ton of backlash from the banking industry around stablecoins and the yield that this has been offered there. And it sounds like this 6% API really is going to require the Clarity Act to get to the other end. And it's uncertain as to whether or not that'll happen.
Yes, that's right. Elon, I think, is launching this with the hope that the regulations come around. But he's not allowed to do it right now, I don't think. And so maybe he will get in trouble. Maybe he will be right, and they'll end up passing it by the end of the year. I don't know, but that's just sort of how I think that's how Elon. I mean, neither one of us are close with Elon, but that's just how he does things. He just thinks this should exist in the world, and then he's putting it out there. He might get in trouble by various states until it gets approved. My feeling is that eventually, Web3 platforms will be able to pay yield, but he's going to be early to it. Also, XAI, Mythos was the first Blackwell-trained model that didn't even get released, but got, I don't know what it was, announced kind of. But XAI has one coming out this summer that's going to be worth watching. So we'll be talking about it this summer, probably, I think, too.
Yeah, agree. Okay. Charles Schwab is beginning a rollout of spot Bitcoin and Ethereum on their trading platform. It's going to be called Schwab Crypto. Now, this is, I don't know, maybe a full year after Fidelity did this, right? So it's not new, but I think why it's important is that Charles Schwab is just an old school brand. You know what I mean? It's an old school, safe trading, investing brand. And for them to put the name Schwab next to crypto, to me, is yet another undeniable move in favor of crypto becoming ubiquitous and part of the traditional finance ecosystem.
Yeah, no question. They also are, I think, probably the largest, or one of the top 3 largest custody platforms. So I think as they do this, I mean, you always start with Bitcoin and ETH, but I think they'll probably expand from there. But you're right, they're old, and the fact that they're coming in means everybody is already in, or they're going to be soon.
Yeah, for sure. All right, time for the AI rundown. Lots of stories. We're going to start with Anthropic. First, Anthropic adds Novartis CEO to the board. I think we are clearly starting to see the pharma industry and the AI industry link up in some really important ways. Anthropic just did a $400 million acquisition of a biotech company that was in stealth, so we don't even know what they do. And now here we have Anthropic adding the CEO of Novartis to their board.
Yeah, which I think is probably healthy. I mean, I think they are running towards healthcare because it's a huge market that we all know maybe has some inefficiencies that could be improved. And I think it's positive that they're pulling in someone on their board from Novartis. I think they should pull in someone from health systems and payers too. But I think it's a positive thing that they're going to have people that are, long tenured in healthcare helping with this process. Novartis is also international, so that gives them a different angle too. You mean a lot of strength in Europe.
Absolutely. Anthropic releases Claude Opus 4.7 to remind everyone how great Mythos is. We're going to add the link of the X post announcing Claude Opus 4.7 to the show notes, because it's a chart, and in that chart it just in that chart it's like Opus is in the first category column, and it's like, okay, it's fine, but Mythos is 10 to 15 points better than it almost across the board. You know what I mean? And it's just it's just kind of funny that I have to say, I don't always love the takes of David Sachs, but he is right that they are master marketers. They're not just great at product; they're also great at marketing, and we saw that at the Super Bowl, right? And I think we're seeing it here. I think we're seeing them balance a PSA with a humble brag. Like here's a model you can have that's safe enough for you to have. Is kind of what this says.
Yeah. And it also, you're right. And it also says you shouldn't leave our subscription because we have the best model in the world coming out sometime in the future that we can't tell you when.
Right, exactly. Like here are some of the numbers here. Okay, so Opus 4.7 in agentic coding, 64.3% on the benchmark. Mythos preview, 77.8% on the benchmark. It's like, why even show it if you can't have it, right? Agentic coding is 87.6%. Mythos preview, 93.9%. I mean,
that benchmark's almost done.
Oof.
Yeah.
It's remarkable. So yes, they very much released Opus 4.7 just to kind of say we have way more in the can. All right, let's shift to OpenAI, because I think that they have done some of the best product positioning and marketing moves this week that I've seen them do in maybe 12 months. So the first one, on the heels of the Mythos Project Glasswing hubbub, OpenAI unveils GPT 5.4 Cyber, an AI model for defensive cybersecurity. Now, that is responding in the moment appropriately.
That's right. And it is positive for OpenAI. It's going to get them attention. It's a tool that I want, everyone wants, and is not like throwing, barbs at other people. It's just like, we have this, it's going to be really valuable, and it's perfectly timed.
Yeah. So that's pretty exciting for me. And the next point here is that OpenAI's big Codex update is a direct shot at Claude Code. Codex can now use your Mac apps on its own. I'm starting to see, and I've asked a couple of devs that I really respect, I'm starting to see, Vic, some big names that are talking about Codex is shooting the lights out against Claude right now. And so I think for the first time in a very long time, I'm going to fire up a $200 a month OpenAI plan so I can play with Codex.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't played with it. I agree that OpenAI is coming on strong. I think that they're going to do really well towards the back half of the year. They seem like they're building momentum and not distracted as much anymore. And what I've heard about Codex is that if you know what you want to build, if you have clarity on the architecture and design and you've scoped it all, it's far better than Claude at just going to do the work. It's not as good in the design, or maybe if you don't even quite know, and working around things. But there's a lot of software shops that they know what they need to build. They just want to scale it. I think Codex has been the winner in that space.
Yeah. So good for OpenAI. Also in a week where Sam Altman had a failed Molotov cocktail thrown in his house. So look, and also is seemingly going to lose this court case too. Yeah, OpenAI is very embattled at the moment, but I want to give them credit for these two strong announcements. All right, moving back to Elon, and really this is going to be a series of stories about data centers. XAI has been sued by the NAACP over the Memphis data center. Unpermitted gas turbines pose health risks to local residents, suit alleges. Yeah, look, this is, I don't know how you could get more perfect from a storyline perspective. NAACP versus Elon Musk. That seems like exactly what we should have as a court battle in 2026. But this is just the first of many real challenges that the United States is going to face in establishing the kind of data center build out that we keep hearing from the likes of Jensen Huang and Sam Altman that we need in order to be competitive globally against the likes of China.
Yeah, so I was at a healthcare conference this week, but we had a investment banker come talk about just the broad economy. And this was one of the points that he made, that we are trying to 3x our data center inventory in this country this year. So it's like all the data centers they've built over the last 30 years, we're building 2 times that this year. And it's very challenging from a permitting and not in my backyard aspect. And Europe is worse. Europe and then the Middle East is at war. Right. And so Asia, including China, but also including Singapore and a bunch of people in Asia, are really the ones that are actually turning on data centers the fastest, which is going to be a competitive disadvantage for us if we can't get our act together. I think we will find places to build these, but that's the challenge that we're facing.
Yeah, I mean, and they're not without their challenges too because of the Strait of Hormuz, right? It's like, yes, they have these data centers, but all that power abundance is actually kind of in flux. So it's a pretty unstable world now, isn't it?
That's right. It is. That was the point of his talk. We're moving towards kind of hard power and take care of your own country first and away from the globalization and everyone friendly.
Yeah. All right. And Maine has passed a ban on large data centers. These are centers that will draw over 20 megawatts of power until late 2027. Holy cow. Just totally take Maine out of the playbook. Nothing can go down there.
Yeah. That might be the most foolish thing a state has done in a long time, but they already did it. It's law. And so I don't know. There's going to be difference. We have differences across the country, and I think it's foolish, but I don't live in Maine. So.
Yeah. I think if Maine did it, this is going to end up being a bit of a playbook for many of the blue states. All right. And kind of on the other side of that, right? We're using so much AI that computing firepower is running out. That's the headline of a Wall Street Journal piece here that's focused on Anthropic, because if you've been a heavy user of Anthropic, one thing it goes down. Yeah. There are outages, right? And Anthropic, they are an incredible lights out product company. Just shockingly good at the product. But they're not a hyperscaler. They don't have the infrastructure. They rent, they don't own it. And they're running out of what they need to continue to keep their lead going. And I think this is going to accrue to the hyperscalers, to the Microsofts, the Googles, the Amazons, and even in the enterprise, the Oracles. And who else? And the Metas of the world, who have built out this infrastructure globally, right? and can choose whenever they want to sort of redeploy it however they want. And it's going to be tough for these companies that are trying to build out data centers now, especially when we have states saying not here at all.
Yeah, no question. And I heard this week, I don't have it confirmed, but I think that OpenAI closed down Sora because they need the inference for their other models. And if you recall, Sora was their like flashy video generation. They signed a pretty big deal, $1 billion revenue deal with Disney, and they closed all that down. And they said it was because they're moving to enterprise, but the rumor is that they didn't have enough capacity for their customer base, and they were having to dial people back. Anthropic is already in that situation where you can't buy as much tokens from Anthropic as the market wants. They're trolling people. Like you're limited.
So I want homework for you. We talked about before the show. I want you to go listen to the rest of the Dwarkesh podcast with Jensen Wang, and then let's talk about that next week. Okay. Yeah. Because it's very much related to this whole data center discussion, this whole compute discussion. All right. Finally, we're going to round up with Google and Gemini specifically. So first, Google launches the Gemini AI app on the Mac. It's their first desktop app for Gemini. I am very happy about this because I love to use the thick clients, the desktop apps for AI. I love when they can have access to my file system and things of that nature. I think what's also really interesting is that they built this app using anti-gravity. I don't know if you knew that, in like 2 days.
Yeah, it's incredible. I use anti-gravity as my IDE, so I'm excited to try this. I think it's interesting that Anthropic beat everyone to the punch with their Claude on Mac, downloadable, thick client, like you said. And this week, OpenAI and Gemini both have responses. So they had a 6-month head start, and now everyone's there. Well, not everyone's there, but 3 companies are there.
Yeah. And then the final story, I'm going to let you take us out with this one. DeepMind launches Gemini Robotics-ER 1.6 to meet precise physical AI demands. And the video in this piece here from SiliconANGLE is of a robot dog, and it's the best moving robot dog I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I remember a couple years ago when we were excited that a robot dog could stand up and walk up 3 stairs.
Right.
And now they have it like running up 50 stairs and crawling around some manufacturing plant doing inspections that previously humans had to do. And some of these environments are very hot or very cold or not very safe. And it's great that we have this technology. And I wanted to close with it because it's coming much faster than I expected. I kind of thought that the intelligence, kind of the white collar knowledge work was going to be really challenged, but the physical in the real world, walking through a factory, or in our world, like laying hands on a patient and taking their blood pressure or something like that, was going to be a long time. And I think it's coming faster than I had expected.
Yeah, it's remarkable how fast it's coming. Actually, I think the thing that's going to really shock us, we just had Waymo roll out in Nashville. Of course, the first story is about the jams and the screw ups that happen, because, of course, that's what's going to happen in the first week, right? But I think what's coming very quickly is going to be Waymo's eating into Uber and Lyft drivers in Nashville, right? When it happens, Vic, it's just going to kind of be like this blend where we'll just start to accept it as normal and real, but there'll be all these cars driving on the road in Nashville that don't have anybody in them.
Right.
You know what I mean? When I was in Jersey City over the holidays with my wife, I saw a lot of the Uber Eats robots riding around in the street.
Yeah, right.
And they're so cute, because they're on 4 wheels and they're little and they're just a little box. Yeah. We're getting real close to starting to see the robots on 2 and 4 legs in society. It's getting very, 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 very close. And these are the things that I think, maybe finishing where we started, are going to challenge our identity, our sense of what we thought we understood the world to be,
Yeah. Elon is not very good at timing. So he thinks the Optimus available for sale will be out this summer. That's going to be wrong. My prediction is it's going to be delayed and it will be out at Christmas or next spring. But we're going to have humanoid robots in the next year that are walking around doing things, and they're much better at lots of things. They can lift more, they can run faster, they can see further, they have different senses that I don't have, and they don't get tired, and they just keep going. And so we're all going to have to figure out what do we want to be? What is our identity in this new world?
Yeah, so it's going to be it's a question. It's a question that we're not fully ready to deal with, I don't think.
Yes.
I don't think we're fully ready to deal with. So
I think that's right. But our listeners are better prepared than others. And so our listeners at least have more knowledge than their peers.
Yeah, and our listeners are also going to crack open an open claw after being inspired by you and what you've done with Faye, right? I mean, if Vic can do it, you can do it. You can do it. Get out there, spend a weekend with this stuff. It will put you, honestly, we are at the point with these tools where one dedicated weekend can put you in the 0.1%.
Yeah, you can have an agent working over a weekend easily. Now, the question is can it do valuable work for you? No, that takes 2 weekends or 3 weekends. But still, you would learn a ton spinning it up, and then, you'll learn a lot, then figure out what to do with it later.
Yes, exactly. So we just want to encourage people. Obviously, this thing is going full steam, right? There's nothing we're going to do about that. So the least you can do is get cooking with it, get cooking with it. Don't wait.
Yeah. And all you do is ask whatever LLM you are using. I heard Vic and Marcus talking about setting up an open claw. Can you teach me how to do that? And it will boom, it'll just give you all the steps.
Yeah. So look, I want to make sure that we also acknowledge that this was kind of a weird week. We have all sorts of people that are questioning many things. I don't know. I didn't think I would see kind of an all-out Twitter war between the president of the United States and the Pope. It's just, things just seem really weird. And I want to maybe encourage you, if you're listening, that having a sense of purpose and a project that you are working on is a great solve for all the insanity that's going on out here.
Yes. Turn off, whether you watch CNN or Fox, turn it off. It's not the real world. It's I don't even know if it's news anymore. It's just like marketing spin.
Yes.
And read a book or go build your own agent for fun. Either way, you'll learn something that's more valuable than whatever the news is talking about.
Totally agree. So yeah, look, I just wanted to say that because I think it's so ubiquitous at this point that it feels a little bit that if you're not saying something, people might be like, oh, you're not dealing with the reality of what's going on out here. And I would say, no. I mean, we see it obviously too, but Vic, I don't want to speak for you, but I know for me, working every day on building out Jumpstart Health, working every day on supporting our founders who are doing real material good in the world, and working on trying to stay on top of these topics with you and on top of where technology is going. It gives me a sense that regardless of what's going on out there, I am controlling the things I can control and putting the best work out maybe of my life right now, even if it's in a really crazy time, and that's the best we can do. It's the best we can do.
Yeah, that's right. And I think It's the best we can do, and also it prepares us for what's next. I have no idea what's next. It's going to be chaotic, I think, and there's going to be political fights. Those are the two things I'm confident of.
Right.
but finding some purpose and learning and being curious about what could you do that's in your control. I think that's the best way to stay sane today, and then also to prepare yourself for whatever the next chapter is.
Yes, agree. All right, my friend. Thank you. Great show you put together. Next week, Vic, I think we're recording on Friday, so that might make the show a little bit late because I'm going to be at Health Evolution next week.
Yeah, that'll be good. I want to hear what's going on there. That'll be a good report to hear what they're talking about here about Health Evolution. That's some of the best networking there.
Yeah, they're kicking off the whole event with AI, right? So they're at least not avoiding the elephant in the room. So I will look forward to reporting back on what the topic of conversation really was on the ground, not so much on the stage, but in the hallways.
Right.
All right. See you next week, buddy.
Yeah.